Okay, so hello everyone. Kendall, Lauren, and I have been working on our research practicum 2. So mainly working on data collection this semester and analyzing some of the results that we found. So we are focusing on the roles, responsibilities, and perceived effectiveness of campus dietitians at state-funded universities nationwide. And our faculty mentor is Dr. Erin Murray.
All right, thank you, Anna, for starting us off. On today's agenda, we are going to do a quick overview of our research project, talk about our methodology, results, discussion, and our next steps in this research. And just as Anna said, a brief overview, our research question was what are the roles, responsibilities, and perceived effectiveness of campus dietitians at state-funded public universities nationwide? And our project inspiration here initially came from Dr. Erin Murray. And the problem we were trying to solve is how can we make services that dietitians provide more accessible to students and also figure out what services are provided by dietitians at other universities nationwide. And our solution is to research what other universities are doing for students to hopefully make that more accessible to students at Metropolitan State University of Denver. So, starting off with our methodology, for our recruitment process, we conducted web based research to find contact information of campus dietitians. And we initially sent a recruitment email that stated our intention for research. And our incentive here was a $15 Amazon gift card to hopefully incentivize people to want to participate. And our goal was to contact approximately 30 programs and dietitians, but we ended up contacting more. I think it was upwards of 60, and participants replied with their interest as the first method of gathering consent. As we will talk about later, we had two forms of gathering consent from participants. And from there, we scheduled video calls to begin collecting data. And in the next slide, I'll talk about our um, data process, collecting data. So in data collection, we again conducted Zoom interviews, and they lasted approximately 30 to 35 minutes. And we asked for consent of participants as the second method of gathering consent. And these video interviews consisted of a variety of open ended questions. And then the interviews are recorded and transcribed for data collection purposes. And the qualitative research was used to assess trends in the research and to conclude our findings. And so, a progress update so far, we have conducted 3 interviews. We've had 2 more scheduled. However, we have had people cancel or not show up last minute, which has been unfortunate. But so far, we have 10 interviews scheduled, but are continuing to contact other universities and are hoping to get about 5 more. And our goal is to complete data collection by the end of March, compile and analyze data in April, and then finalize our conclusions and present our findings in early May at Nutrition Research Day.
All right, thank you, Kendall. So much like Kendall was mentioning, so we have 3 out of the 10 total interviews completed. And this section, what we're going to present on is mainly pending results. So we didn't really culminate all of our results because we don't have them yet. So we're kind of working with what we have for this results section. But the one positive thing that we have compiled is we have compiled the first to date that we're aware of database of campus dietitians at state-funded institutions. So this was the main initial part of our research process, was going through web-based research to find contact information of campus dietitians at state-funded universities. So it definitely took us a long time to find those. So that is definitely one of our things that we can present on as substantial results that can be worked with in the future, moving forward with some quantitative research. So that's something that we can use pending moving forward. And then for the analysis of the current results that we have, and then what we will use moving forward as our analysis process, we're going through all of the interviews and transcripts with thematic analysis, which we're breaking down all of the interviews into 6 domains. So we're going through the roles and responsibilities of campus dietitians, the structure of services and employment structure, the client population, the cost of care and funding sources, the measurement of services to measure effectiveness, and the overall campus partnership and promotion of services. So our qualitative research, it was very ample in results. So we had to narrow down as to what was really important, not only for our campus nutrition services, but for the mission of this project. So for the first domain, the roles and responsibilities. So of the 3 interviews we conducted, 100% of the campus dietitians mentioned that they provide the following in one-on-one and group counseling sessions. So they work with nutrition counseling, education sessions on campus. They work a lot with MNT, and they provide general wellness to students, faculty, and staff members. Some other common themes in their responsibilities. So one dietitian mentioned that they worked with peer mentor groups. I believe one was an education peer mentor group, and the other was working with an eating disorder group or eating awareness group. And then a majority of them work towards giving presentations to students, faculty, and staff on nutrition related topics. There were a lot of really cool topics that they went through. I think one was nutrition and social media, and there are a lot of other presentations that they were conducting that would be great for maybe Metropolitan State University to potentially use moving forward. And then one campus dietitian provided cooking demonstrations on campus. So overall, the format of how the dietitians are conducting their services, they're doing in person, and it was about 75% in person and then 25% telehealth. So the second domain was the structure of services and employment. So on average, a typical day of a campus dietitian, they work full-time, 1 FTE, and they see an average of 4 to 5 clients a day, and they work 4 to 5 days a week. So the services are offered primarily online where students can sign up. And there was one dietitian that mentioned that she has an overflow of students. So she had to halt their online services of students signing up, and they can only sign up over the phone. So it's definitely there's a need for dietitians on campus, and that was proving one of them. And then within the FTEs, so one campus dietitian that we spoke to also oversees one per diem dietitian of 0.5 FTEs. So she's trying to implement more campus dietitians. So she's making sure that the part-time person she's working with um, also is overseen by her, and she wants to bring on more people moving forward. And more is to come with the structure and FTEs of dietitians as we collect more research. So now moving on to the client population. So one campus dietitian that we spoke to sees employees only. So this person was hired externally through, I believe, Sodexo. And they're hired through a separate contract company, and they only see employees. Now, this person mentioned that there were other individuals on campus that work with athletes, that work with students, that work with staff members, but this person only sees employees. And then another campus dietitian, she only sees students. And then one other campus dietitian sees both employees and students at their health center. And the main concerns worked within this client population, a lot of the conditions reported were eating disorders, irritable bowel syndrome, and a bunch of other GI related issues. One campus dietitian mentioned working with a lot of pre-diabetes patients, hyperlipidemia, high blood pressure, weight management, and then just general health concerns on how to be healthier, how to feel better, and how to fuel your body. So the next domain we worked with was the cost of care and funding sources. So about 66% of services are overall free to students. So there's a health fee that's included in the tuition, but it's free of cost of students. They don't have to pay anything up front when they arrive to the front desk. And then one university mentioned that they do offer their services through campus insurance only. And then if somebody else has an external insurance, they have to pay an additional fee. So that's kind of their incentive program to having students have campus insurance. But again, it's still accessible for students through insurance, but it's not necessarily free. And then 66% of services are funded by the university. So one of the things that Dr. Erin Murray really wanted us to figure out was if we were to expand our services, how would we fund those dietitians and fund more than one part-time? I think Dr. Erin Murray works 1 day a week at our Aurora Health Campus Center. So the main goal was for her to figure out how can we find the money and how are other universities funding their dietitians. So it seems as though the services are funded, again, mainly through the university and through this student health services fee. So I'm not sure how MSU Denver's program works in terms of getting money for their services, but this is just how other services mock that payment structure. And then once again, more data is needed on funding sources. So we'll really have more of a concrete results section once we collect more data. So the next thing we want to figure out was the measurement of services and the overall effectiveness of the services. So that's one of the main things that we mentioned in the title of our research. And after going through the research and kind of conducting this portion, it's very difficult for dietitians to assess the effectiveness because um, the main thing they're using right now is a pre and post survey to students, and it's really difficult for them to get response rates, mainly because they're only asking questions related to the experience of services, how did you feel after your service? It's mainly just related to the health center and not so much the nutrition services. And one of the dietitians mentioned in her interview that that's one thing they're working towards is they want to figure out this gap in data, but they just don't know how. So they're working on a system to hopefully gain more information from students to see if they're assessing any sort of change in the nutrition status or health status throughout seeing a campus dietitian. So that's one thing we hope to maybe engage more with, and maybe other dietitians that we interview in the future hopefully will have more to say as to how they measure their effectiveness on a campus. So lastly, our sixth domain is campus partnership and promotion of services. So this was we mainly wanted to figure out how they're pushing their service to students and staff, and then how they're able to see the information, whether it's on a website, whether it's social media, tabling events, from conducting nutrition classes. I know one dietitian mentioned that this is nutrition month for them, so that's how they're really promoting their services, is through um, their website and really being out in the community of the campus and pushing, oh, did you know there's a campus dietitian? And a lot of students will say, no, I didn't know there was a campus dietitian. How do I get access to that? So it's just really being present in the community on campus that really draws students in and pulls more students into seeing campus dietitians. So again, we hope to find more literature or more research on this, the more participants that we collect information from. But so far, this is the substantial data that we've collected.
Thanks, Anna, for giving us all those results. So overall, we feel like the outcomes of the study suggested that campus dietitians can provide impactful services to the students, faculty, and staff. We have only done 3 out of the 10 interviews so far, but we are seeing an overall benefit and a critical role for these needs. Um, sorry. um, we also feel like, sorry, I got a little stumped. It is important to contribute. We feel like this is important to contribute to existing literature, influence structural changes within the nutrition services department. We did speak to some of the universities by contacting them via phone number to get emails from the dietitians, and we actually had one of the feedback from Alaska saying that they've been trying to hire dietitians on their campus, but the university does not see a need. So we're hoping that this data can be shown to other universities that there is a beneficial role for campus dietitians throughout the United States. And with that being said, previous studies have found students who work with registered dietitians on campus are more likely to partake in long-term healthy behaviors. Um, and like Anna mentioned before, not only do dietitians see the clients one-on-one, but they also take time out of their day to send out monthly email blasts that focus on a topic, set up booths to show what kind of aspects they can bring to their daily lives and present different topics to students, whether it's in the classroom or at a event. Um, we did have one dietitian specifically say, and I will quote her, she said that a lot of the students are referred by the provider, and when they get their labs done, they have an elevated A1C or many other things, which then lead them to going to see the dietitian. Or there's a lot of people that come in because they want to meet with a health coach to heal with weight loss or health manage whatever the condition they may be, or just have accountability, even if they're already in a good place. So. But with the study so far, we have come across a few limitations already. We do feel the length of this study is a little short for what we're having to put in. We feel like if we were able to do this for a longer time, we would be able to get in contact with a lot more registered dietitians and not have to cram so many interviews in one. So if the study could be taken on by future dietitians or future students, that would be great. We also feel like the primary communication was email, which with that you take the risk of it going to the junk mail, the spam, or just being overlooked because dietitians are so busy every single day. So we have had to send multiple follow-up emails, and even with that, we're still not getting a lot of feedback or responses. As Kendall mentioned at the beginning, 40% of the dietitians have forgotten about the interview that was scheduled. So we are trying to fix that by following up the day before to remind them that there is an interview scheduled and if they are still available. And then as for future studies, like I said before, time should be set aside more to conduct the overall research and recruit more participants, because the more participants that are recruited, more information can be said about the benefits and the critical role of campus dietitians. And then also maybe even considering interviews some private universities. We did not go into that territory. We were trying to condense it as much as possible, but it would be interesting to see if private universities do anything different compared to public universities. And lastly, as we've all said, overall, we do feel so far out of the 3 interviews and the feedback we've gotten that the current data, campus dietitians do play a significant and critical role in helping students at universities across the United States. And we feel that this research will be a benefit to add to current literature and hopefully be seen by many other universities. And hopefully we can get more campus dietitians on universities.